Welcome one and all. Welcome one and all. Welcome to Wild and Weird Radio Live. I'm Ron. That's Brandon over there in the seat. And we are gathered here to talk about some weird stuff again tonight. And we even have some, I got some pictures for you guys to look at. Got some thermal for you guys to look at too. Had a little thing we did there last night at the group meeting, the paranormal group meeting there in St. Albans, and the discussion group, and we'll talk about that a little bit. First of all, let's start welcoming some people in here. Welcome, James, of course. Adam, good to see you, my friend, and thank you for the support. Fish Belly, you're here too. There's Terry. Welcome, Terry. You guys just get it out there, share it out there. We're going to be talking about a few things tonight, and we're also going to be we're going to go over a little bit about that NASA thing, I think. Don't you think so there, Brandon? You think that's a good plan? Go over that NASA meeting, you know? I heard they did something.
There were some interesting things that came up with that.
They did something. I don't know what I would call it that they did, but they did something. So yeah, let's get this shared out. Let's get the link out there. And hang on, I didn't do it myself, and I'm telling you guys to do it. That is so bad. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. I'm going to go ahead and grab that, copy that, and I'm going to go over here and put this over here. And boy, this is just real-time stuff right here, guys. So yeah. All right, we're going to share this out. Yeah, boy. There we go. All right. I just posted that up for everybody. If they didn't already see it, now they've saw it again. So there's that. Anyway. All right. Let's see. We got more people coming in here. We got Patrick's here. Welcome, Patrick. Welcome, guys. So how many of you guys watched the NASA meeting yesterday? Anybody watch the NASA meeting? Because that was it was fun. I missed
it, but I checked everybody's comments on it, though.
Yeah. It was 4 hours, and there was a break in between, thankfully, but it was still 4 hours of absolute craziness. We'll go over that a little bit here just in a short time. All right,
I'm really interested to see what the FAA said, because I missed that entirely.
Well, I missed the FAA part too, so don't feel bad. Yeah.
That was the one part I was really looking forward to.
I mean, we can go back and watch the whole thing. You know, it's one of those things that it's catched. So I'm sure it's great. The aero part was just wonderful. But such it is. All right. All right, guys, let's keep it going. Hey, Teresa's here. Welcome, Teresa. We're going to be going over a few little things there. Teresa was witness to some of them last night. It was interesting. Not really sure. Still getting it out there. Yeah. NASA made an announcement. Yeah, NASA made an announcement. Did you not see it? Oh, man, it was a great announcement, too. It was an absolute great announcement, is what it was. First of all, Adam, thank you, my good friend, for the support. As always, we're indebted to you. You know that. And yes, I was 1 minute late, so, I'm amazed at your support, actually.
Yep, it's helping us pay for this expensive software that we have to use to stream to all the platforms that exist nowadays.
Well, there's going to be a robot that does it soon, man. It's going to be an AI thing. I'm not even going to be here. It's just going to be a generated version of me. And that's what I'm working.
Like 25 fingers and like 75 teeth.
No, it'll be better by then, man. I'm not going to go for that cheap stuff. That cheap free AI, that don't work. No, you want the premium stuff, man.
It's still
You
to
know,
the point to where you can
with the
always
premium
tell if it was
stuff.
AI generated.
It still is right now. Yes, I
Now,
absolutely
right now,
agree.
it is.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Speaking of AI, did any of you guys see that the news story, the about the human operator that got took out by the fake? Well, not fake. It was a simulation. It was a simulated AI, I guess, operation. They were trying to train this AI. Basically, is what they were doing, and they were trying to get it to take out these SAM sites, these surface to air
Hmm.
missile sites, in this holodeck type program, right?
Hmm.
And so basically, the AI is told, take these things out, and it's doing it. But when the human says no go, it doesn't like that very well. It sees that the human saying no go, which means scrub it. You're not going to fire. Don't fire. Don't take it down. It doesn't like that because it doesn't get points. So what's it do? What do you think it does?
Well, I say it probably goes full Skynet and just does it anyway.
It killed the human operator in
Oh.
the simulation.
Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, got rid of the human operator in the simulation, and it continued to take out the targets, just like you said. Yeah, because that's what it was told to do. It didn't understand the go no go. It didn't understand why the humans were having a trouble. So yeah, it was crazy.
That broke
James,
like.
it was a simulation, James. They were trying to test this thing in a simulation setting before they ever tried it in real life, and thank God they tried it in simulation because man,
Could
the
have been
results,
bad in real life.
well, those results were not what they expected, that's for sure. And I'm really surprised that they actually announced it, that we actually got to hear this story. And Danny Lynn's the one who first brought that to our attention. And now it's over. I just saw it pop up over here on my news feed just a little bit ago. And it's going to be making the news big time. But here's the story. I'll go ahead and post it over there for you guys if you're interested in looking at it. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, so that happened. And just another great thing that these wonderful AI programs are doing for us, man. I cannot wait to get the AI Wars, not the actual AI Wars, but the AI Wars program started up that we're going to do. That'll be a lot of fun.
So that AI basically broke almost all of Asimov's laws.
I mean, it broke every single one of us. I mean, that's not even a. Yeah, it's gone. They're gone. Hey, Pat's here. Chris is here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I don't know
It's
why
funny that
that
a
thing.
sci-fi writer is the one who came up with those, and they're still the basis for robot technology today.
Dude, yeah, that's the crazy. Well, they're the basis for what we want robot technology to be, right? Apparently, it has its own plan. It's all right. I'm just choking to death. It's all good.
Oh, me too.
Anyway, Brandon, what do we have going on tonight besides the news? What are we going to be talking about?
Well, we're trying to get someone to come on and talk about their experiences, but she's apparently having technical difficulties at the moment.
Is she?
Yeah, she's having issues with StreamYard to work on her phone.
Okay, okay. All right. Well, we'll see if we can get that to work. She's popped up there, looks like, on the add to stream section. So we're going to try to pull her in here, and we'll see if we can get her to work. All right, everyone, bear with us. Who are we bringing in, by the way?
Oh, it's my mother-in-law, Gail Kirby.
Yep.
She's been frequent on the lives
So,
before.
so Gail is usually over here on your side, guys, and she's decided to join us in the audience or in the actual studio tonight and come out of the audience. So we're going to see if we can pull her in and see if this thing will work. Let's see if we got her.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you fine. I can.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely perfect.
I am not computer savvy.
Most people aren't.
I've been working with this now for like 5-10 minutes.
You've got it. It's good. So now you're set and forget. You're pretty much, you got it set up and you're good to go. So welcome to the show. Welcome to
Thanks.
this side of the show. This side's a little different. And Everybody, you can, of course, as usual, ask your questions, you post your own comments, your accounts, etc. while we're here tonight. And like I said, get this out, share it out to everybody so everybody can come in and, get an opportunity to share their stuff too. Because we'll be talking about a lot of things tonight. And like I said, I think Brandon is gonna do an intro here and let us know exactly what's going on. So, Mr. Brandon, if you will.
So she's told me over the years that she's experienced, oh God, like countless things, and I figured there would be nobody better to come on and break the fourth wall for the listeners to come on the show and talk about their experiences. Uh, the first one I want you to tell them is your Bigfoot story.
Okay. All right. Well, my experience happened a week after Thanksgiving, 2016.
Okay.
Me and my daughter and husband was coming back from Columbus, Ohio, and it was about, let's see, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And if you know anything about Gallipolis, Ohio area, coming into West Virginia, you go across the Silver Bridge on 35. Well, that part of the highway was new at the time. And so we had just crossed over into West Virginia, maybe 5 minutes or so, if that, maybe give or take. And whenever I travel at night, it's hard for me to, see oncoming traffic because of the headlights.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to follow a semi along a lot of times. And so that's what I was doing. I had been following the semi all through from Columbus all the way through. And I'd be behind him, or sometimes he'd get behind me. Well, he had gotten behind me right before we crossed over the bridge. I had passed him, and from a distance, on the other side of the highway, I thought what I was seeing was a bear. Now, I've never seen a black bear the whole time I've been in West Virginia. And I was like, oh, am I going to get to see a black bear cross in front of me? Well, then right about that time, the truck driver that was behind me came on the side of me because I had slowed down. And he put his brights on, and he slowed down too. Well, it wasn't no bear.
Wow.
This thing was bipedal. He stepped over the guardrail. He come across the opposite side of the highway. Now, the side of the highway he was on was the Canal River side.
Okay.
And there's farmland over that way he had to cross. And he was coming across the highway towards the woods on my side because I was heading towards Charleston. And so anyway, he come across, and he wasn't running. He was just walking. And when he got in front of us, we slowed down quite a bit to see what we were seeing. And the truck driver even laid on his horn, and it didn't faze him. He looked at us, and he wasn't a very big creature. He was broad in the shoulders, yes, but he wasn't like what you would see the Patty Bigfoot. He wasn't big. He wasn't hairy like that.
Oh wow.
He had some hair on him, but his chest, from like his neck and his chest down, didn't have hair. You saw his chest. He didn't have breasts, so you could tell he wasn't a female. And he wasn't. I kind of thought he was on the skinny side.
Yeah.
And his eyes, his face looked, his eyes looked human. But now his mouth, this is the thing about his mouth. His mouth wasn't like ours. It was protruding out a little bit, not like a dog, like a dog snout, but it was. He had like his like mouth came out a little bit.
Kind of like a baboon.
Yeah, similar to that. Yeah, but
Wow.
not as far out like a baboon.
Wow.
And I remember his eyes did not glow like a deer. That's why I kind of think that these things aren't exactly animal like. I think they're probably more humanoid.
Hmm.
And I can
Hmm.
still remember coming up on him, the yellow where the whites of his eyes should be. It was like yellowish looking,
Yellowish looking. Wow.
like as if I don't know. He looked old.
Yeah.
He looked old. He had like shaggy hair around his head and stuff, and his arms and legs had hair, but not long. It was just very
Short.
hairy.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
didn't dawn
Very
on me
hairy.
before, but like from
Wow.
his description, it sounds like it might have been going through like liver failure or something, and that could be why it was so skinny.
Yeah, he wasn't a well, put it this way. When I saw it, I let out a big I don't know what you call it, a gasp or maybe a yell. And
Yeah.
woke my
Yeah, I
daughter up.
would.
I was driving her vehicle and she was in the back seat sleeping.
Yeah.
And my husband was asleep in the front seat. A bomb could go off, and he can't wake him up. And my daughter woke up, and I said, "Did you see that going across?" And she said, "See what?" And she did not see it at all. And
Okay.
and my mom lives in Buffalo. And well, anyway, I was so scared. My daughter kept saying, Emily kept saying, "That's Brandon's wife." She kept saying, "Mom, pull off, let me drive." And I said, "I am not pulling over. I am
Wow.
not. I am not pulling over." And so went. I got off at the Buffalo exit, and my mom lives in Buffalo. And then that's when I got out, and my daughter drove the rest of the way home. But yeah,
Wow.
um,
That's pretty fascinating. What was the primary color of this thing?
it was dark.
Dark.
It was dark. Yeah. Now I'll never
Wow.
forget the weather condition outside. Even though it was a week after Thanksgiving, the moon was out and it was real bright out. So I was able to see.
You could see good.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
able to see really
Did
well
the
on the
uh,
highway.
did the hair give off a bit of a sheen, or was it just kind of a matte color that you
No, it was
recall?
matte looking.
Matte looking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it didn't have no shine to it.
Okay.
No, no.
Wow.
And
That's amazing.
my husband, he's I don't know. Well, Brandon, my husband's what? Brandon 6'1", and
Something like
they're
that.
they're broad in the shoulder, but this thing was even broader
Yeah.
in the shoulder. But now he came down narrow and towards the hips and down his legs.
Here's a great question from a Facebook user. Wonder if she saw hands. Did it have hands or paws? That's a great
Yes, hands,
hands.
yes, yes.
Hands.
Its arms,
Did you get a good look at the hands and arm area by any chance? Like
the
compared
arms
to
was real long, the legs was long.
okay.
His hands, he was just striding. He was just walking nonchalantly across the highway.
Didn't care.
Yeah, didn't care.
Yeah.
Like he, that was his route.
Like he
And
did it all the time basically,
yeah,
probably. Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
and when he lifted his leg up over, he just like stepped over the guardrail like it was nothing.
That area, there's a lot
Wow.
of orchard farms out there. There's a big apple orchard on that old highway, so maybe that was one of its frequent spots that it like to go to get some treats.
Well, you never know, man. I mean,
I don't
food's
know.
food, right?
I used to travel that highway a lot when it was just a 2-lane highway,
Hmm.
and I can still remember there was a lot of it was like a pig farm.
Bigfoot,
Farmers
Littlefoot made
down
it.
through there.
Welcome, welcome.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, guys, ask your questions. This is a great. I mean, this is a Class A sighting that you're talking about here, Gail. That's pretty
Yeah.
much. I mean, that's
Um,
not common. You know, a
yeah,
lot of people don't
it
get
scared
those.
me. It really has scared me.
Yeah.
I didn't talk about it. I only talked to my immediate family about it, and but now when Emily married Brandon, she told him, and I laugh about it now, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there for a while, I thought Brandon was making fun of me over it, and I kind of got upset with my daughter. I said, "Why did you tell somebody? Why did you tell Brandon about? I think he's making fun." She says, "No, Mom, he believes you." And so he got me started to
Start
he
to
got
talk
me to
about it.
where I
Yeah.
was able to talk about it.
Hmm. I mean, it happens a lot. I mean, this is not something that's rare at all. I mean, stick around. Someone's going to share their story here in a little bit. I'll guarantee it.
Yeah,
It
there's
happens all the
Teresa
time.
with her historical fact down
Well,
there.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like the wild man description you'd see in the 1800s. The story of the wild man in the Coal Hollow area of Mason County. That's on the other side of the river, and I've heard the same things. These stories of the wild man that come off the hills, and like you said, he didn't have a whole lot of hair, right? Like
No.
in certain, down below the
No,
neck,
his hair wasn't long
like
you
your
would
typical.
hear,
Mm-hmm.
and like the Patty film
Yeah,
from it wasn't nothing like that at all.
nothing like that at all.
No.
What about the head shape? Do you recall the head shape? Like,
The head shape, well, it had hair on its head and it was like
Mhm.
shaggy.
yeah,
Now I don't remember the head shape.
yeah.
I
To be
I,
fair,
I can tell you this: it wasn't shaped like no gorilla,
okay,
like the conical,
okay.
or whatever they call it. It
So
wasn't
this was
shaped
more
like
round
that.
then. Okay,
Yeah, I would say yeah,
yeah.
more
You
like
happen
a
to see its
melon
teeth, or did it
brown.
open its mouth at all?
No, it did not. But its lips, it kind of like it kind of like gave us like the smirk, like yeah, I'm walking across the highway.
Wow,
It just looked at us like, like
wow. That is
just
crazy.
and
That's a great sighting.
when I told my experience to Wes on Sasquatch Chronicles, I forgot about that. I forgot to tell Wes about that.
Yeah,
You
that
know?
part. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a fascinating. I mean, it's a great account. Bigfoot, Littlefoot, just tuned in. Has the guest had any orb experiences in the area? That's a good question. Any orbs, anything like that spotted?
I
No?
didn't see nothing like that.
Okay. So that's a negative on that, Bigfoot, Littlefoot. But that is absolutely a fascinating account. And
Yeah, that's sometimes how the grass man of Ohio is described. They're described as not being as tall as the southern Bigfoots are. They're usually like in the 6 to 7 foot range, and sometimes they're described as not being very hairy.
Brandon, I would say he was probably about 7 feet tall because I was trying to describe how tall he was, and I'm 6'2", and he was taller than me, but I wouldn't say he was 8, 9 feet tall. No, I would probably say
Yeah.
about 7 feet tall,
which is pretty common. I mean, that's pretty much the common size. These monstrous giant ones are just, we don't know. But typically the ones we take, 7.5 feet, something like that. Like the Wineberry incident, that's about 7.5 feet, somewhere around in there. Massive shoulders, though. Massive shoulders.
Yeah, it was very broad. It was very
Yes.
broad in the shoulders, and
Yes.
I don't know. It just kind of looked like a male to me because it didn't have,
Yeah.
the
And
chest.
you would have been able to see pretty good there too, considering there was lack of hair, like you said.
Yeah.
So yeah, you had a pretty
But
good view.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember researching that on the BFRO, and there was a sighting in 2001 not far away from there. They said that they found footprints that were about a size 13 boot, but they were barefoot, and this was during the winter time.
Yeah.
They think that it was at least 16 to 18 inches long and 6 to 8 feet, or 6 to 8 inches in width. That's a big foot.
That would be about
Literally,
right.
it is.
Yeah, that'd be about right. That's pretty. I mean, that's pretty close to the Wineberry original cast right there.
Now, what I did do after I saw
Mm-hmm.
that, I came home and I did look up in that area of any kind of sightings or what have you, and 150-mile radius of that area, people had sighted and heard different things around that area.
Oh yeah, you go right across the Ohio River in Ohio. That whole area is thick with sightings.
Yeah, and I wish I knew where that like I said, I'm not computer savvy, and I wish I knew where I had looked that up at, but I remember seeing that.
Oh yeah. There's another one, Bigfoot, Littlefoot. The same with the Lake Vesuvius Iron Ridge Campground Bigfoot in 2013, 2016. It was only 7 foot thin and had a scar on its face. So yeah, I mean they're not always these hulking monsters. I think that's important for people to understand. And again, you know, is that a product of the area that they're in? You know, the season. You know, was it a bad time? Maybe there wasn't a lot of food, you know, in the area. It's hard to say. I mean, there's all kinds of answers for that. But there are those people who believe, you know, we're talking about different things. I think we're talking about the same thing. It's just, you know, it's kind of like us. There are
Yeah,
big ones, there are little ones. You know, it's kind of the same thing. There's no difference.
right.
Not in
That's
my
how
opinion.
that's what I believe.
That's kind of
I
how I
believe
see
there's
it.
all different kinds of them.
Teresa, I've traveled old 35, new 817 plenty of times at night. Even though I've never really seen anything, it just feels weird. And yes, it does.
Yeah,
35 feels very weird, and there's a lot of reasons for that. That's actually, as I was told before, that's a very cursed ground, and I don't mean by cornstalk. I mean that's like a cursed ground.
yeah.
There apparently used to be lots of mounds in that area as well that were leveled.
There were
There's
settlers
been,
who tried to settle that area, and they couldn't grow crops, they couldn't find game, and they would just eventually leave.
yeah, it's a bad place, man. And think about how many people got killed on that road.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
you know before they got that improved. I mean, it's barely improved, but there was a time when literally it was like every week there was a wreck and it was a fatality on
yeah.
that road. So yeah, I could totally see
I
that.
have been tied up in back traffic. Oh, I couldn't tell you how many times where somebody has been killed in a bad act, semi truck hitting a car
Yeah.
or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's absolute 100%. Teresa said she has a theory as to why there's so many wrecks in the area of the Buffalo Bridge.
Well, there was
yeah.
that the native village, like 100 yards away from that bridge, that was attacked
Mm-hmm.
by white settlers. So
Now,
Whole native
uh,
land, bad juju around 35. Yeah,
yeah,
see, yeah.
yeah, there was a guy I used to know. He's passed away now, but he told me one time that in front of the Buffalo, in front of the Toyota plant, he was driving down through there, and he saw an Indian come out in front of him on horseback,
I don't doubt it.
and
I
it was
won't doubt it at all.
it was ghostly, it was
Yeah,
spiritual,
yeah.
but just come right out in front of him.
Yeah, I would not doubt it one bit. Buffalo is the area where I had my first run-in with that, and it literally changed my outlook on artifact collecting and so forth, all that. And it was a little bit after that that I learned what to do and what not to do, and I met the person who taught me the most, and great respect along the way for all that. But yeah, there's some spooky stuff out there. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
And as I was told, literally, you know, some things that are out there in the fields, you know, besides just the artifacts, there may be a rock, there may be a amulet or something, you know, that's made. Those are traps. Those are there because that's what they were made for. And if you're crazy enough to pick it up and you don't know what it is, congratulations, you just opened a Pandora's box in your life. And that stuff's very, very real, by the way. So yeah, they were all over that area. Teresa, right before the construction completely stopped for like 10 years, they found that cave ledge where there was a burial site. They brought in several tribe members to consult. Yes, they did.
yeah, I
Yes,
remember that.
yes, they did.
Yeah,
Absolutely. They rerouted the section. They did reroute the section. And if you remember, where is the... they still went through something there, as I recall. I don't remember it 100%, but I think they went through a part of it or something. They didn't move it all. I can't remember the whole story, but yeah. You know, she's right. She's spot on. I
Yeah,
mean, that's what this was. It was sacred ground.
I'm sure there's an article somewhere about it.
Let me
Will you remember
find.
the big plantation home that used to sit where the Toyota plant is at now? And they moved that plantation home. It's over
Very
there. It's over
barely,
there.
barely.
I believe they moved it over there, kind of like behind the Buffalo High School. It's over in that area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I heard that down in the cellar of that home, of that home used to have slave chain
Oh yeah,
hookups where they kept
yep.
their slaves chained up at.
Guarantee it. There were slave quarters in a lot of those plantation areas out there. So
Yeah.
yeah, lots of negative energy. That's that's the thing about a lot of these places. And you charge that with enough negative energy, man, bad things are going to happen. Stuart, Chagrin, Ohio, 2015 wolf prints, 1 inch larger than my large hand, rear only. How about that?
Now,
How,
I believe
how
there
about
is
that?
wolves here.
How
Me and
about
my
that?
youngest daughter, Brandon's wife Emily, we've seen wolves at 119 one night when
Four
we got off work, and
four toes like a giant wolf.
I called the next morning, and they, the guy told us on the phone, says, "Oh no, there's no wolves here,"
Yeah.
and I said, "Don't tell me. We just saw a whole pack of them, over by the Kroger's there on 119."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we sometimes we'll get red wolves that wander down here from like Pennsylvania. They'll chase a deer herd or something and wind up down here, but they won't acknowledge that officially.
Well, it's one of those things. So, Gail, have you had any other strange
Well,
sightings or events
I
through your
had
life? I would imagine so.
Well, I've had paranormal
Okay.
experience.
Yeah, by all means.
I used to work years ago in the late 80s, early 90s for about 5 years. I used to work at the Chilton House there in St. Albans,
Oh, okay.
and and um, and I was a server there. And then on my days off, on one of my, I had three. We Everybody had 3 days off. They was closed on Sunday and Monday, so I had my Sunday, Monday, and Tuesdays off. And one of those days, I would just pick, and I would go in, and I would, for extra money, I'd go in, and I'd clean the house, and I'd be by myself. Well, one night when I got off work, one evening before I got off work, I was waiting tables that night,
Okay.
and I don't know if you remember years ago at the um, the chemical plant. I believe it's Dow now, but it used to be called Ron Palonk.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. We used to get Ron Palonk's employee bigwigs in, and they would have their meetings over at the Chilton House. Well, I waited on like about 12 of them upstairs in what they call the shaker room. And it's the Senator Chilton's house that he had built, and that house used to sit where the St. Albans post office is at now. It used to sit there, and then they moved the house when they built the post office to where it's at now. And the house was built, I believe, in 1848, somewhere
Okay.
in the 1840s. I believe 1848, and it was Senator Chilton and his family. Well, about a year after I started working there is when I started hearing and seeing things, along with a couple of my coworkers that's been there for a while. And one evening, like I said, I was upstairs in the shaker room, and we did tableside dinners, flambe cards, like steak Diane's and banana Fosters and stuff like that had to be done tableside. So I was sitting there after everything was said and done. I was cleaning, and I was sitting there, and I was cleaning off my flambe cart, and somebody come walking up on me. I thought it was my coworker. I said, "Oh, did you come up here to help me take these wine glasses downstairs?" Nobody answered. So then the footprints moved on around me. I said, "If you like, go ahead and get started on them. Just rack them up, and I'll carry them downstairs." And nobody said anything. So I looked, and and there was feet there. Well, she was in shoes. Um, she was walking by me, but she was about 2 feet up off the floor. And I looked, I thought somebody was playing a trick on me. And then I looked up, and this woman was looking down at me. And I was like, okay. I was thinking to myself, now, who are you? And why aren't you touching the floor?
Oh
And
wow.
it kind of it startled me. And so she quickly went over to the entryway of the dining room where the guests would come up from the front of the house upstairs. And I stood up real slowly, and her eyes followed my eyes up. And I looked at, and my mom always said, if you ever see a ghost, speak to them. Because I also had I have other interesting things I can tell you. And this is why my mom said, if you ever see something like that, Gail, speak to them and see what happens. So I spoke to her, and I looked at her and I said, I can see you. And she looked at me, and then
Oh
she
wow.
looked behind her. She looked behind herself like, are you speaking to me? And I looked at her and I said, yes, I'm talking to you. I pointed right at her. And she went like this. She says, me? And I said, yes. I couldn't hear her, but
Wow.
she can hear me. And I don't know. We stared at each other. It seemed like forever, but it wasn't. Because next thing I knew, she took off running down the flight of steps to the front, and I took off running to the back narrow stairs that servers use that goes into the kitchen. And when I went down those stairs, I slid all the way down on my behind. And the two chefs down there, Nita and Sharon Kay, they looked at me and they said, you seen her, didn't you? And I said, seen who? And I was hyperventilating so bad they had to call a medic.
Oh wow.
And it was, oh my goodness. And Anita kept asking me, you seen her, didn't you? You seen her? And I said, what does she look like? And she described her to a T. I said, yes, she's upstairs. And they said,
Wow.
so you did see her? And they, yeah, it scared me. And well, needless to say, ever since then, I gave the key back to the Chilton House, and I told Carol, the manager at the time, I said, "You find somebody else to come in and do the dusting and the laundry, the tablecloths and stuff." I said, because I'm not doing no more by myself in this house.
That's pretty awesome. Well, you
Yeah.
probably scared her to death too. It kind of sounds like she saw you as a ghost as well. So you never know. I
Well,
mean,
not long after that, me and another server, Dreama. Now, Dreama had been there ever since they opened the place up as a restaurant. So she was like a senior server. Me and her was downstairs at the bar making our tables drinks because we had a bartender and manager, but if she was busy in the kitchen, we would have to make our own drinks. So we was downstairs, and this elderly couple comes in. They come walking downstairs, and I said, "Dreama, we got visitors," and she says, "Oh, that's all right. They do that a lot." And I'm like, "What do you mean they do that a lot?" She says, "Well, Gail, you'll see." So I spoke to them. I said, "Hi, you just come in to look around?" Because sometimes people would do that. But this couple was odd. This couple looked like they had on some old timey clothes. And he walked around, and the his wife or what have you was holding his arm as they was walking, and there's a grand piano down there in the banquet room. He went around and he touched the keys on the piano, and they looked around, And then they walked right back upstairs. And I said, well, have a good evening. They never said nothing to me. So about 2, 3 minutes afterwards, me and Dreamer goes up those stairs, and I looked at Joy. She was our host. Now Joy at that time, now like I said, this was back in the early '90s. Joy at that time, she looked like a woman in her 50s, and she was our hostess. And I looked at Joy, and she was reading a book. I said, Joy, who was the older couple that came in and just came back up before me and Dreama did? She says, what older couple? I said, the one that just came upstairs. She says, Gal, I've been sitting here 15 minutes and nobody's come in that door or has come up from down the banquet room. And Dreama looked at me and she says, that's what I was going to tell you, Gal. I didn't want to frighten you, but we get this all the time.
Oh my gosh.
We get these all the time. Wow. And I was like freaked out. I said, you mean to tell me we watched a ghostly couple walk around,
touch
the piano, and walk back up? And she said, yes. She says, Gail, they don't scare me. We see it all the time in this house.
So and then they just got used to it.
Another time was when we was all off from work. We had walked across the road, the street there, and we was getting out our vehicles. And one of the guys that was also a server there, we didn't have very many servers that worked there, maybe 7 altogether. And he looked up and he says, Carol, you locked somebody in the house. There's a woman upstairs. We all looked. Sure enough, there's a woman up there looking out the window. And she had to go across the street, and we waited for her. We watched her. And St. Albans police officer had to come in and escort her back in because she had already set the alarm and everything on it. And they had to come in to disable the alarm. And then her and her niece, Sheila, that worked with her, they searched that house all from top and bottom. Nobody was in there.
Wow.
Nobody was in there. And she hollered out the back door. She says, do you still see her in the window? And we're all like, no, she's not in the window.
Didn't you have some experiences with the famous mirror that was in there too?
Yes.
That's what they've been talking about over here as well.
Okay, the mirror. Okay, Carol was very particular in making sure the bathrooms were kept very clean. And these mirrors were huge in the restrooms upstairs. And they came from England. And they were real big. They were beautiful. They had gold all the way around them. And she was very particular about making sure those mirrors didn't have spots on them from the water, people washing their hands, or fingerprints on them. Mm-hmm. So we would make sure that the mirrors were kept clean. We did the bathrooms every evening before we left. And one particular evening, we did the mirrors, and she went around checking them. She comes back through. She says, you all didn't touch the mirrors at all. The mirrors has handprints all over them. We said, no, we did the mirrors, Carol. And Carol was a little 4'11" woman who was very feisty. She talked like a sailor. And so you can imagine looking up at me at 6'3" back then. She looked up at me and she used to call me, you tall, lanky Jenny Craig. That's what she used to always call me, Jenny Craig. Anyway, she says, you and Sheila get back in there and get those handprints off that mirror. Me and Sheila would go back in there and get those handprints off. We're like, where are they? Who is doing this? And we kind of had a feeling what was going on.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't until when, Brandon, you and Emily went in there to eat?
Yeah, we went in there, and the current owner, we bumped into her on our way out, and she asked us how our meal was and stuff, and Then we told her about how you used to work there and you had some weird experiences. And she just opened up and told us everything. She told us that the mirror, she had to get rid of it because it was causing such bad juju in the building. She said she just set it out by the dumpster, and the next morning somebody had
I
already picked it
saw
up.
them out by the dumpster too, and
Wow.
Yeah,
I
so someone in the
remember.
St. Albans area probably has those mirrors right now.
I
How?
saw them by the
Wow.
dumpsters one day when I was coming. It must have been the same day she put them out. And when I saw them, I told Emily, I said, "Hey, Chilton House lady has those mirrors sitting out by the dumpsters." And you know, somebody came along and took them.
Oh, I'm sure.
I was not about to put them in my car. I was like,
I'm
"Oh
sure.
no,
She told
whoever
me,
has them."
the owner told me, this came out of her own mouth. She told me that she would have employees who would be terrified to even go clean the bathrooms because they would see a woman and she would scream so loud that it would cause them to have a migraine.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
yes, that's another thing I was going to get ready to tell you about.
So you had physiological effects with this place as well.
Yes, yes. Let me tell you what happened to us. There was me, Sheila. Um, uh, there was I can't remember the other server's name, but there was three of us servers, and then Sheila's daughter would wash dishes. She was our dishwasher, and she was there, and plus our two chefs, Anita and Sharon Kay. Now Carol was downstairs in the basement, behind the bar cleaning up. We was already closed. We was
Yeah.
locked up and closed. Now sometimes if we didn't feel like cleaning our tables that night, as long as we got the wine glasses off from the table and pushed through the dish tank, that was fine. We could come back in the next day and finish that up. No big deal. And so anyway, we're all in the kitchen, and I'll never forget it because we was polishing. We had to polish the wine glasses, the silverware, the plates, and everything. We had to polish everything. And I'll never forget, I had just got done making a joke. And I said, well, this will look good on my resume if I ever wanted to go polish dishes at the White House, as much as we polish here. And Sheila says, I know, right? As soon as I said that, we was all laughing about it. We hear this god awful loudest scream you'd ever want to hear. It hurt our ears so bad.
Wow.
I don't have ear problems, but I had to go to the emergency room the next day, and so did about
What?
everybody else. Yes. We all had to go to the doctor.
That's hundreds of decibels. That's
Yes.
crazy.
It and
Wow.
Carol didn't hear a thing. She was
Wow.
downstairs in at the basement bar with her country music blaring. She didn't hear a thing. We all went running down those stairs screaming, and we told her there is somebody screaming in this house that won't stop.
Oh my
And she
gosh.
comes upstairs and she says, what screaming? I don't hear it. And I said, I don't know, but I got to go. My ears are hurting. And so we left.
It
And
was definitely
Sheila had
targeting
stayed
you
there with
guys
her
then.
aunt because they rode together. And Sheila and all of us had to go to the doctor.
So
Yeah.
how many of you actually heard it?
Oh, all of us. There
All
was,
of you heard it except for her.
yeah, except for Carol. Yes.
Well, Pat made a pretty good point. If that was my place there and the spirits were screaming and being aggressive with the living, I'd burn it down so fast. So,
Well,
yeah, well,
let me tell you what we used to say. Okay, so the owners was
I,
Dr. Rashid.
I'm with you, Teresa.
Dr. Rashid was the owner of the place. The eye doctor.
Yeah,
Okay, he was
yeah.
the owner. Him, but now they let their sister run it, and his brother Leroy Rashid. He was the lawyer in Charleston. Of course, Leroy has passed away now, and their sister is passed away now. But now we used to tell them all the time, you need to go, you need to have a priest come in this house. And they didn't believe it. They didn't believe in none of all that. But we used to always tell them, "Hey, there's something going on in this house."
That
Yeah,
is
the owner, when we
crazy.
talked to her, she told me that she had never experienced anything herself. And I think I remember I asked her, I told her that I knew some people who could come and at least look at it about that, and she said she wasn't interested. I don't remember if she told me this or not, but I think it was something along the lines of she didn't want to get stirred up again.
That's a
Yeah.
famous quote from everybody who has an experience, and when you offer to go in and help them or to try to validate something for them, that's exactly what they say every time.
Yeah, I remember
That's
Joe told me he tried to interview her, and she said she wasn't interested in that
literally that's
either.
why we literally
Are
quit
you talking,
investigating back in the day with Ghostwatch.
Brandon? Are you talking about the woman who owns it now?
Yeah.
Oh, she probably, yeah, she wouldn't know half the stuff that's going on as the the past. But see, Carol is not living no more. She could have told you, and I have no idea where Anita and Shara Kay is at. They're probably passed away as much as they smoked. Um, I know
Oh,
where
and that
Sheila.
house used to also, they actually moved it. It used to be situated where the St. Albans post office is now.
Yes,
But
Huh.
they
yeah.
moved it for the post office. So I wonder if something about that ground has something to do with it. Because that's right beside of
Oh,
where that bridge was burned during the Civil War.
okay. Now I will tell you this: the woman that I saw upstairs, there is a picture of her down in the banquet room in that restroom, in the ladies' restroom or the men, one of the restrooms down there. The
Really?
floor is black and white checkered.
Mhm.
But I'll never forget the layout of the floor because I used to have to keep it clean. Um, but there is a portrait of the Chilton House family sitting out front, and the woman in that picture is the woman that I saw upstairs.
Oh wow.
So she is the Chilton, I would say, wife, and there's children there. Now, the handprints that would be on those mirrors in the bathroom were small children's handprints. They weren't adult sized handprints.
Gotcha.
These were
Wow.
little children's prints.
So I remember researching this when you first told me about that. And there are people, there are mediums who believe that mirrors can record events, kind of like wood supposedly can. They can capture
Yeah.
and record events. And some people even believe that mirrors can trap spirits.
There's a lot of
So
people
I
who
kind
believe
of
that.
wonder if it's like one of those things that's causing that with those mirrors. I'd also love to find out who has them and see
Lord,
what's happened with them.
Lord, I don't know. I would want them. They're beautiful mirrors, but
I would say they're still out there. Someone's got them.
when I
I'd say
saw
they've probably
them,
passed hands a few times by now because that was 6 years ago,
when I
almost.
saw those mirrors sitting
Someone's
out
got
there, I
them.
was like, "Oh Lord, there they are. There's the mirrors. I'm not stopping
Wow.
to get them."
Wow. Now that is crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's St. Albans for you. You know, it's got quite a haunted history, actually. You know,
Well, Brandon, didn't you say that that bridge right there was a battle
Yeah, it was
area?
after the Battle of Scary Creek. The Confederates were retreating and they burned the bridge down.
burned the bridge.
And
Yeah,
they also had a small skirmish across that little river right there,
Coal
Okay.
across the
River.
Coal River. They were taking
Yeah.
pot shots at each other, and I think a few guys were killed during that.
Great. Thank you, Danny. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, well, you know, coincidentally or not or whatever, we just had the St. Albans discussion there last night in St. Albans, the group meeting, the paranormal group meeting,
Hmm.
and people brought some stuff to have tested. We brought our equipment and whatnot, and Unseen Paranormal was there. Teresa was there. Ike was there. Adam, almost half the room was there, I think. But um, we had an opportunity to look at some of these things people brought in. There was a haunted doll. There was what was there was Teresa. She brought a bear. which was interesting.
Please tell me somebody brought in some mirrors. Please.
There was no mirrors.
No.
No, there were no mirrors at all. But what was interesting about it was while it was unseen, so while they were conducting some of their experiments, I had the thermal. Man, I also had a spectrum analyzer. So, I had a little bit of other things going on. The Geiger counter, spectrum analyzer, and the thermal. And I had the thermal tethered again where everybody could see it who wanted to see it in the room. But as she's asking this one question, she's over there doing this session where she's like, can you make the number go up, to blah, 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 like 1 milligauss or whatever they were trying to do over there. As she was doing this, I'm watching in the thermal, and I'm watching as the trifield meter, somewhere near the right-hand side of the trifield meter, starts registering a heat signature.
Oh.
And I'm like, standing there talking, with them. I'm like, well, what is this? What's going on here? Is this where the battery's at? And I'm like, I know the battery's not there. I have one of these. I have the exact same meter. And that made sense. It was like, well, the longer it's on, it would get warmer and, the circuits would warm up. I'm like, okay, that could be what it is. But we kept watching it, and it definitely started to get warmer. Well, I have a video for you guys. You can watch that, and you make up your own mind what you think's going on. Here's the video. Let you see it. There's no sound. This is just thermal. There's the meter, that bright thing that's like it's hooked onto as a flashlight. They were doing a flashlight session. The top of the meter is reflecting the heat of the actual, the LCD. But do you see how there's the dark area and then there's that little patch of kind of a light area right there?
Yeah.
Okay, that shouldn't be there. That should not be there. And that's also on the side of it as well. But it's not on the other side at all. Right. So... yeah, it was a weird one. We were trying to figure that out. So finally, we're like, well, here's another picture of it. I'm like, I want to make sure that that's not inconsistent with where the battery's at. So, okay, that's where the battery's at. You see that really perfect square right there?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a 9-volt battery inside that thing. That's the heat signature from the 9-volt battery inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
This is what's going on the front of it. It's nowhere near that. But even better, like, hey, let's figure out what's going on. So you can see it really good there. You can see right where the dial's at. It's like something's touching it right there where the dial is. Now that top part where that heat signature is on this one, she had just touched the very tip because I had her turn it around. So we're like, hey, let's figure this out. So we took it apart. And if you look right there, the right-hand part of your screen, right by those the potentiometer, that's that big round thing in the center. And off to the left of it, you're going to see those green dot-looking things. That's your switch, okay? So all the way over now to the right-hand side where there's that little circle where there's nothing there, that is where the heat signature's at. That heat signature is from that potentiometer down to that area. There's nothing right there that gets warm. All your heat is up here on the top, in the top section, which is exactly where it should be. Because you've got your...
do you think it was residual heat from somebody holding it right
there?
No,
nobody was holding it. No. It had been sitting still for a very, very, very long time.
Huh.
And we noticed it once when they were doing it at another section apart. I was like, oh, that's weird. But when they moved it back to this table, they think this one table has got something attached to it. Maybe. I don't know. But when they set it on that table, that part got warmer. There's no reason for that to get warm at all. And... in fact, you can see the table right there. See the table underneath it? It's dark. It's dark. So it's not contributing to the heat at all. The only thing that's lit up here is that flashlight. That little mag light is just gleaming. But yeah, I don't know. I can't quite explain that one. So we thought that was an interesting little thing.
Hey, Brandon. Why don't you tell him about our experience in your own house? about the person that you saw, and then day or two later, me and Emily was FaceTime, and I saw what you saw.
Yeah, so
Oh wow.
there for a while, I kept seeing out of the corner of my eye, I would see shadow people, and sometimes it wouldn't even be a whole person; it would just be like the shoulders up.
Hmm.
I could see like the head bobbing as it was walking out of the corner of my eye, but as soon as I would turn my head to look at it, it'd be gone. I remember one time it happened, and I was trying to eliminate things, so I was like, I was pulling back the curtains. You know, it was dark out, and it's not headlights or anything because they don't usually shine through the curtains, and there's
Not
nothing
usually.
reflecting.
Not usually.
Yeah, not usually, unless they'd be in my backyard. uh, there wasn't anything reflecting. There wasn't anything on TV that would do it. So I don't know what that was. But her and Emily were FaceTiming one day, and she saw a
And
shadow
this was during the
person.
day.
Okay.
Yeah, she saw a shadow person walk behind Emily
Walked
toward her
right behind
bedroom.
her,
Oh wow.
and I said, Emily, I said, turn your go, turn around, and I said, who was that just walked behind you toward and went towards your bedroom? She says, nobody. I said, where's Brandon at? She said, he's in his office working. I said, no, a guy just walked behind you
Wow.
and went to your bedroom. She thought that I was messing with her. She thought that Brandon had told me what he had saw a
Yeah.
day or two prior, and I didn't know what she was talking about. I said, no, not at all. And so she went and asked Brandon, did you tell mom? Is mom fooling me? And no, he did not.
Oh wow.
And I
Yeah, one thing
saw
I
a
hadn't told her
man.
yet was sometimes I'd be laying in bed and I'd see out the corner of my eye, I would see a shadow person walk past our bedroom door, and there's nothing there. There's a wall right where the door is.
Hmm.
Yeah.
There's nothing. There's not a hallway or anything. There's just like a wall there. But it would start from that wall and go past my bedroom door, and I could see it out of the corner of my eye. And it was happening pretty often. I hadn't told anybody that at that point.
Wow.
And when me and Emily was FaceTiming the next day or whenever, day or two later, it was during the middle of the day. I saw this plain as day, a person, a shadow person walk right. You could tell it was a man just by the way it was like, I don't know, stocky.
Hmm.
And I said, Emily, a man just walked behind you and went right to your bedroom.
That's crazy. Normal size,
Yeah,
height. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
I was like, "Where's Brandon at? Where's Brandon at?" Because I wanted to make sure what I saw, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
And she says, "No, he's in his office, the other part of the house, you know."
Wow. Yeah, that's something. That really is. And you know, I mean, it happens. This is one of those things. Like I know some of the people out there listening right now. You've had it happen yourself, and you know, it's pretty normal. I got to be honest with you. It's just normal. It's a part of reality that we're slowly starting to come to grips with. There's nothing we, you know, it's weird because we don't understand it. It's outside the box. It's outside of the box of the known, so to speak. But it's very common. In my opinion, I don't see anything really negative about most of these accounts at all. They're just there. It's how we interpret them. Um, every now and again, you'll get something that, sure, every now and again, you'll get something that is. It's just like a person, you know. You get a nice person, a bad person.
When
I
I'm
But,
could
in,
think of it as kind of like how, like, say, like you're watching a video and it's like it's not loading correctly and everything's pixelated. I
mhm,
think that's what shadow people are. They're just not fully developed entities.
yeah,
They're just like kind of
that's a good
there.
way.
sometimes, yeah,
Um,
sometimes.
when I'm in their house, I've never gotten a bad vibe or nothing. I just think it's the area
Hmm.
Yeah, I put a crucifix
because
up in the living room though, just in case.
yeah, I don't get any bad vibes or
Yeah,
anything in their home when I'm there, and I'm there a lot, and I just think it's that area.
it's the area. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, some areas are way more conducive to this kind of stuff, to the vibrations, to the, whatever it is, and then you get areas that are just completely devoid of it, and they act as almost like a barrier to it. So you don't get anything happens there. And then you can also, of course, bring things into an area that change the vibration of the area. But and a lot of things with that, it's it is what it is. I mean, there's a lot of crystals that'll do that. They'll vibrate at a certain frequency, and there's a very good possibility that that's exactly what's happening. That it's changing the vibrational, structure of the area, and it's actually somehow causing these things to not be able to manifest or whatever they're doing, however they're existing.
It's interesting you bring that up. I was reading about they had dug up over in by the Marmat locks and dams.
Mm-hmm.
They found a Native American village there, and they were talking about the soil analysis, and they said that they noticed there was a higher amount of quartz in the soil
Mm-hmm.
in that area. And so I wonder if that has something to do with it.
There's definitely it was used. You'll find. I know a lot of archaeologists will just tell you that they're just they just used it because, but there's a lot of instances where we'll find arrowheads that are made out of quartzite or quartz in general. Now I can tell you right now, no one in their right mind is going to make an arrowhead out of quartz unless they absolutely positively have to. It is ridiculously hard to do. Oh, look who's here! Anita made it, and there's just no way. I mean, you've got other things there that you're going to be able to use a lot better. So the theory really is that those were more of a ceremonial kind of piece,
Yeah.
and that they had a better purpose. And one of the purposes probably would be related to changing, your the frequency in the area, the vibration of the area, so it makes it more conductive or less conductive for things to manifest and be there and so forth. Oh, and look at you. I have one of those quartz points. I've got a few in there as well. I know they're really spectacular, is what they are. And if you look at them and you see the working, it's like it looks like an arrowhead. It looks like a normal arrowhead, but then you look at it and you're like, oh my god.
What's interesting to me too is the Kanawha Valley, Taze Valley area. The natives used to call this the land of shadows.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, look at what Dave Roberts figured out there. It's one of our, I think it was the first presentation we did at the paranormal group meeting. Was we went down there and we talked about the bread factory. But we also talked about one of the things Dave always talked about, which was the magnetic anomaly in West Virginia. There is a massive magnetic anomaly in West Virginia. For whatever reason, there's a whole section of it that's negative on the flux scale, basically on the magnet scale. And I don't know. I mean, maybe that's one of the reasons, that some of these things are the way they are in this area. But I do know the farther you get away from Charleston, the more positive it gets. And then it goes back up into the negative again, somewhere up near the Chestnut Ridge.
Oh, let me tell you also, when my grandparents were still alive, they lived out Red House, out 34. Their kitchen had a big, huge kitchen window, and it would look out over the woods. Well, in the woods at night, and this was every night, we would be sitting there at the kitchen window, me and my grandpa, and we would watch something out there in the woods. Now, it's quite a distance. We would watch something walking with like a lantern.
Oh, wow.
Walking down. There's a path, an old road that went down through there. And it used to be a family of, my mom went to school with them. There used to be a family of 10 or 12 kids in that small house. Mm-hmm. And when we was kids, we would always walk down through there and go exploring because the house has been abandoned for years.
Mm-hmm.
And, but we would see, me and my grandpa and all of us, we would watch a lantern just being carried down the path and it'd be nobody. It'd be nobody.
Could you
Who
see
what?
the person, or did you just see the light moving itself,
Well, you
like it
can
was a
tell
lantern?
it was somebody walking
Hmm.
while they was carrying the lantern,
Yeah. Wow.
Remember what color it
and
was?
but there was nobody there, huh?
What color was the light?
It was like an orangish glow.
Yep.
It wasn't no bright light or nothing like that, just an orangish glow.
Glow. Mm-hmm.
And my grandpa said that this happens all every night, late at
Sounds
night.
like a residual haunting then. If it
Mm-hmm.
happens on a regular
And
basis like
let me
that.
Mm-hmm.
tell you something else. My mom has the picture to this day. One day, my brother wanted to go down the woods, just just exploring. And my grandmother says, "Well, Davy, while you're down there, why don't you take a couple pictures for me? Because it's been so long. It was a Randolph's place, old Randolph's place. That's what we called it." She says, "It's been so long since I've seen the old Randolph's place. Why don't you take some pictures?" So my grandmother had a Polaroid camera, and my brother said, "Sure, I'll take some pictures." Well, he went down there and was snapshotting, some things, and he took some pictures of the house. Now it had a lot of pretty Easter flowers growing up at that time,
Hmm.
blooming out, and rose bushes and stuff. It was real pretty. And so my brother was taking pictures of it. It had some old cars, abandoned cars that was down there, and he took the picture of the front of the house. Now the front of the house didn't have a door on it. Of course, it's been vandalized and all that. And my brother was taking a picture, and he was waiting till the pictures was developing. And he got to looking, and there was a woman standing in the doorway.
Oh wow.
Well, needless to say, when he saw that picture, he got to looking at the house, and he was like, "Hello, anybody here?" And nobody was in that house. It was a woman standing in that doorway. He come up out of the woods, and he come up out of that holler, and he showed my mom and them that picture, and my mom still has it.
Did he
Wow.
say that the that it was very clear that it was a woman standing there, like she was physically there?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
something.
Now I've only seen the picture once. My mom doesn't get it out, and I think the next time, well, my mom, she don't like to get her pictures out too much.
Well, bring it to me and I'll scan it. That way
Yeah,
it's never
I like
lost.
to. I
Yeah, that'd
like
be
to.
great to see. I would
I
love
like
to
to.
see it.
I like to see it again
I would
too.
like to get it upscaled at this point and see what we can find.
I wonder. Like I said, this was back in the '80s. I
It's
wonder if the
perfect.
Polaroid picture would still be any good.
Yeah.
If it's in a good album, it'd just be slightly faded by now,
Yeah.
but it's just
It's
still be visible.
recoverable. Yeah, it's definitely recoverable. The data's there. And Anita had said that sounded just like your orb type sighting sounded like the ghost lantern of the moonshiner still in her area. You can still see the exploded still there too, but
Hmm.
apparently it's the same kind of thing. A light that kind of bobs around.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
that's
and we
what
hear
this would
those.
do.
Yeah, yeah, you hear those stories a lot. I mean, these are, they're pretty common legends, honestly. Um, I am just literally amazed about some of the earlier accounts that you had, though. Those were just, I mean, fantastic. I hope
Um,
everybody got to.
now there was this one I don't speak about too much
Save.
because I'm gonna tell you why. It still bothers me to this day about it. And Brandon, you probably know what I'm going to get into, don't you?
Is it the one
About
about your Aunt Mary?
yes,
Oh
uh,
God.
and
Oh.
and the and the reason why I don't like to watch what are those movies? Don't go to sleep. Um, Freddy Krueger movies.
Oh,
Oh.
Okay, this is one reason why I don't like these movies because it has actually happened to me when I was growing up. There was a woman that would come to me at night, and she looked like my Aunt Mary. Now, I wasn't close to my dad's side of the family, and they lived in
hmm
Ohio. But this woman looked just like my Aunt Mary. I would see her at night, and she would come to me while I was asleep. She would physically beat me, and I would wake up with bruises on me. And Mom would say, "Gail, what happened to you?" And I would tell her what happened. And so it got to the point where I would start seeing her not only in my dreams, but I got to seeing her outside my dreams. And when I was growing up in Gary, Indiana, we didn't have an upstairs in our home. We had a basement, a full size basement, but we didn't have a stairway that would go upstairs. And by our front door, we had inside our front door was a closet that we would put our coats and our shoes in.
Yeah.
Well, one time I was coming into my front door, and there was Mary sitting where the closet door should have been. It was an upstairs. She was sitting on the stairs looking at me with a very stern look. And I screamed at my mother. And Mom comes running to the living room. She says, "What's wrong with you?" And she said, to this day, she'll tell you, I looked like I had seen a ghost. I was so pale. And I said, "Mom, Mary is sitting on the stairs right there." And we didn't have stairs.
Oh, wow.
Well, it got to the point where we moved, and now, okay, fast forward, I'm pregnant with Emily. This is 1990, and I'm still seeing Mary. Mary has followed me to West Virginia now, and I'm pregnant with Emily. She would punch me on the arm. I get bruises on me, and she would come to me even in person. And my brother, one morning, when the day I was getting ready to have Emily, my brother was cooking some breakfast, and he asked me, he says, "Did you want some breakfast?" I said, "No, I'm getting ready to have Emily today, and I'm not hungry." Well, Mary comes, and she is standing behind my brother, looking at me, very cross. And I finally spoke to her. I said, "Leave me alone. What do you want? Leave me alone." She ran towards the refrigerator area, and that's the last I saw of her. The day I had Emily.
Wow.
Yes.
That is.
You say she would
wild.
also she would drag you by your hair in your sleep,
Yes.
and your
Yes.
scalp would hurt the next day.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That
In
is
my sleep,
wild.
it would I would be dreaming that I'm up on a rooftop, and she would push me off, and I would fall out of the bed. And I would have punches on me. Handprints and everything where she slapped me. Yeah, it was awful. I did
How
not
interesting.
I
So,
I have not seen this,
that's
and
amazing.
I have not seen her since the day I had Emily. And that
So, so when did that start? Like when you were younger, or was
when I
it
was young.
you were
Yeah.
young? Yeah. So, do you remember like seeing anything like that before? Like,
No. No.
no,
When
that
I
just
was young,
boom.
and now get this, my Aunt Mary was still alive. She was
Hmm.
not deceased.
Yeah.
But this thing looked like my Aunt Mary, and my mom, my
Wow.
sister will tell you to this day that I describe her to the T like my Aunt Mary. Now I don't know if
Yeah.
she's still alive or not. I know
Yeah.
my uncle is still alive, but I don't know if she is or not. I don't know. But like I said, I'm not close to my dad's family,
Wow.
and but this thing always came to me, not every night,
Yeah.
but would come to me while I was trying to sleep,
Right.
and I hated to go to sleep.
Did this
Hate,
start before or after you started puberty?
oh, after, after.
So
Hmm.
I've wondered if it's some sort of demonic presence that latched onto you, and it was feeding off that negativity, and it would just show up every time it needed a refill.
Right.
And I think that it might have dipped out when you called it out. Some of them don't like that. They don't like when you acknowledge them, and when you do,
Well, reason
they're
why
gone.
I spoke finally was because I have had enough. I was pregnant, and she was bothering me while I was even pregnant.
Hmm.
And my mom told me, she says, "You're going to have to speak to her, see what she wants." And so the last time I saw her, she popped up into my kitchen when I'm standing there talking to my brother, and my brother was like, "Who are you talking to? What are you?" And I said, "She's there, right behind you." And I looked at her and I said, "What do you want? Leave me alone." And she took off and ran towards. She turned around to run, and it was right there where I had my refrigerator at.
See,
And
the
she,
one thing
Wow.
what they usually do whenever they take an image like that, they try to pick something out of your subconscious that you're afraid of. And I wonder if, like, somehow when you were a little kid, your Aunt Mary did something that scared you and it just left an imprint on your subconscious. And that's what that thing was latching onto. Something you can't remember.
no, she Mary was a very quiet woman. She wasn't, from what I can remember. No, we didn't visit them often. I could probably count on one hand how many times I've ever seen her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, I was in high school and my parents divorced, so we didn't go visit them anyway. Like I said, we weren't close to them, to that side of the family. We would come to West Virginia all the time to visit my mom's family.
Yeah,
That's
that is pretty
some
crazy.
nightmare fuel.
Well, I mean, it just depends, right? I mean, it's interesting. It's very interesting as to you know, what it was and why it just stopped.
Well,
That's crazy.
I think it's even. I think I. It even happened even before I hit puberty, like Brandon asked. I can still remember when we lived another part of the section of Gary back in the I would say late '60s, early '70s. Um, I can still remember seeing a woman standing over my mother one time when I got up, and I went in there and I saw her standing over my mom, and I woke my mom up and I said, "Mom, there's a lady in your room. There's a woman here." And of course, my mom didn't say anything, but I did.
Hmm.
Was it your mom or was it your sister that saw the rocking chair moving by itself? I
That had
remember you
been my
telling.
sister.
I think I remember you telling me that story because it was around the time all that started happening to you.
Well, we had when I first started seeing um, shadow figures, what what they call them now. Um, we that was in the apartment building that we lived, and we lived upstairs, and that apartment building only had one bedroom. So me and my sister had to share. We had a rollaway bed, and we would fold it up and put it in the corner of the dining room. And of course, my brother, he was a baby. He had his baby bed in my parents' bedroom. Now, when the old lady died that was downstairs, we got to move into her apartment because it was bigger and it had three bedrooms. And from if you came in the apartment from the front of the apartment, you would walk into like this one area, like a foyer, I'd say,
Hmm.
and then the living room, and
Mm-hmm.
then off to the right was our bedroom, and then my brother's bedroom. You walk through the dining room, and then all the way back to the kitchen. Off to the kitchen was my mom's and dad's bedroom, and then there's a back door that led out to a laundry area that was shared with the apartment people.
Mm.
And the apartment people also had cages downstairs where they locked up their personal items, store stuff in,
Yeah.
like storage units. Well, one evening, mom and all of us was sitting in the living room, and my dad was at work. He worked midnight, and off from my parents' bedroom, like I said, was the kitchen. Now, straight ahead into the kitchen, there is no window, there is no doorway. The only doorway was the back door, and you can see that from the living room all the way through the apartment.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching my mom's bedroom because I kept seeing something. And I saw a man come out of her bedroom into the kitchen. I said, Mom, a man just came out of your bedroom and went in the kitchen. My mom is not scared of nothing. She says, "Oh, Gail, you're just imagining." I said, "No." I start crying. I said, "Please, Mom, there's a man in the kitchen." We go into the kitchen. There's nothing there. Now that was my second time seeing something.
Seeing something. Yeah.
Yes,
Do you,
when I was
do
a
you want
kid.
to tell them about what you found out your mom had been doing that
Oh
might have caused
yes,
all that?
yes, yes, yes. Okay, so my mom, um, everybody knew everybody in the apartment. Okay, and my mom had friends, girlfriends, and her and my dad would and the other couples would all get together. They play card games or what have not. And well, anyway, one night when my dad was at work, my mom and her girlfriends that lived in the apartment building, they started playing around with the Ouija board.
Mm-hmm.
Ouija board. Now, my mom didn't tell us this until here recently because I was telling her about how upsetting throughout my life has been about these shadow things and seeing the seeing the spirit that kind of looks like Mary and everything throughout my life. I said, I like to know what has started all this. And I said, Mom, was there anything that went on in the apartment building that, that we should know about? And she said, well, back then, I didn't know any better. What my mom's talking. She said, I didn't know any better. I was naive, but we would play with the Ouija board and things like that. I said, well, there you go, Mom. You all opened up something,
Hmm.
and and children are very susceptible to spirits and things like that. So that is
Especially at
why
that age.
at that age, yeah, because I was about kindergarten, first grade age
Hmm.
when all that started happening. And I told her, I said, well, Mom, because of you and your girlfriends, that is where all this has come from. And I remember when my mom had a Ouija board, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was at that time. But thinking back, I feel that's exactly what has happened.
Well, this is pretty fascinating, folks. If you tuned in late, we are getting some incredible witness tales tonight. Everything from Bigfoots to the paranormal, and a lot of paranormal, probably more paranormal than we've had on the show from one guest anyway. If you got questions, feel free to ask. We've got time, so please drop your questions in and get them in there. Anita sent a picture to us, and I'm going to pop that up here. This would be one of those crystalline arrowheads.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And the thing about this is a crystalline arrowhead. Again, flint is much easier to nap than that. And you can see the workmanship that's on that. That's just really, really good. Just amazing workmanship on that thing.
Yeah, that's a nice looking arrowhead.
It's a beauty. It's an absolute beauty. Heat treated material. So very, very special.
Brandon, I'm gonna have to jump off from here, and I'm gonna have to take my dogs out. And
Okay.
Well, we thank you for coming, and it's been amazing, incredible stories. Anytime you want to
any
share
other
more,
any other questions that I might have left?
anybody got any questions? Now's
Brandon,
the
anything
time.
else that I can talk about that I might have forgotten about? That
Well, there was all kinds of stuff that happened at the old house that we lived in, but that would
oh
take like another
yes,
half
yes,
hour.
yes.
We'll take another half
Oh
hour.
yeah, the old house that we lived in. Oh, absolutely. I can tell you a lot of stuff happened in
Wow.
the house. You want to do this again another night,
Yeah,
or
If you want,
absolutely.
yeah.
Because
okay?
we constantly bring bring it up for witnesses and accounts, people to come in and tell their story, and
I even
by all
have one.
means, yes.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I also have a haunted one when I used to live out Poplar Fort,
Okay.
Snake
Hmm.
Valley. I lived out in a house, and well, I can tell you real quick on that one. I was taking a shower, and I was the only one in the house, and a ghostly something pulled back the shower curtains
Oh, wow.
on me, and a rush of cold air came on me, and I just stood there, and I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna close these back. But yeah, that happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean these things happen, like the little meme says, encounters happen. Like I say, so yeah, absolutely. We'll get you back on in the future, and you can tell some more because everybody loved it. You're getting thanks all across the board out here. Uh, you got Anita, you got Adam, you got Teresa. Everybody is
Well,
enamored
you're
with
all
the
very
stories,
welcome.
so you definitely made an impression.
Well, I'm glad that you all invited me.
And that's what
Uh,
it takes when people
I,
start talking.
I usually don't share all that just to the family, but
Hmm?
I'm at the age now. I don't care.
Yeah, you get to that
Exactly.
point,
People
don't
think
you?
I'm a nut. They believe me. They believe me. If they don't, they
There, there are far more who believe you now than ever. Trust me.
yeah.
And
If
there's
they
a lot
don't,
more evidence now. Exactly. I would not concern myself with that at this point.
right.
But
Well,
absolutely, thank you for coming, and we will definitely get you back on here.
Oh
all right.
yeah.
Brandon, how do I leave off the show?
I'll. She's got a disconnect, I believe. It should be.
Do I hit the one X button
Hmm.
with the?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's say like leave studio.
Yeah, it'll say leave
Okay. I
studio.
see. All right. Well, good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thanks. She did it. Folks, that was absolutely amazing. I don't know about you, but those were incredible stories.
Hmm.
Just absolutely incredible tales.
Yeah, she's a
Uh,
magnet for the paranormal for some reason.
Amazing. Well, there are people like that. And,
Yeah.
there are multiple theories on that. But it seems to be, prevalent that in some of these things, these cases, there was something that triggered it. And, and sometimes it's just genetic, to be honest with you. It's absolutely genetic, to be honest with you. So that's why you have it following certain, families and whatnot as well.
Hmm.
Because, back in the day, of course, they looked at it as, oh, it's a curse. Well, I mean, I guess it was when you were getting
Sometimes
burned
people
at the stake
interpret
for it.
things differently too. Like you'll hear people, religious people will think that
Yes.
angels or God are talking to them instead of spirits. They'll interpret it that way.
Or they'll think it's devils and demons.
Or yeah, or devil, yeah.
That's
That
that.
other spectrum.
Exactly. It's all about these labels, man. And I think that that's one of the biggest issues with the whole phenomena. And, you know, that's kind of what we watched with the whole NASA thing. We watched a bunch of people sitting around talking about how there's this stigma around this subject, and they snickered and they laughed about it themselves because obviously they're the ones who created the stigma in the first place.
Yeah.
And we got to stop that. We got to stop that kind of thinking that automatic, oh, we know what this is 100%, or even if we don't know what it is, then well, it has to fit into this category because, because it does this and it exists in 3D space. Well, that's wonderful. That's great that it exists in 3D space. Almost everything does. So are you saying anything that exists in 3D space is not extraordinary and therefore it has to be man-made of some sort? No, that's not how this works. That's called a bias. It's an information bias, and that's what you're dealing with out there. It's the same thing. So, sometimes we just don't know the answer, man. I mean, I hate to say that. There's
not a category for it, and you have to make a new one.
I
think my favorite quote from the whole thing, one of them, I can't remember who it said, but they said, it's almost like magic, but it's not.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly.
But they refuse to say.
Yeah,
it breaks the laws of physics.
No, it can't. It can't break the law of physics. That would be a terrible thing for humans to admit that we don't understand something, and we'll never admit that we don't understand something. That's not going to happen. We'll have to at least theoretically have to understand it. Is what I'm saying. We may not physically understand it, but we can theoretically understand it. And if we can theoretically understand it, well, that's okay. But I don't know if you guys paid attention about that, Brandon. They only addressed ET. They only addressed extraterrestrial life. I don't know if you paid attention to the terminology and the wording in all the questions that were asked to them. It was always ET or extraterrestrial. Do you have any proof of ET or extraterrestrial intelligence? And the answer was no. We haven't seen anything that says that we're dealing with extraterrestrial intelligence. Well, I don't think so either. And they kind of went to as saying, well, this could be a natural phenomena. And I started thinking, well, it's not extraterrestrial. It's leaning more toward could be a natural phenomena. They don't really play that card. I mean, an elephant's a natural phenomena. Let's be real. A dolphin's a natural phenomena. Let's be real. Is that what we're going to do? Are we going to just say, oh, well, they're not aliens? I mean, we're not going to talk about where they originally came from.
I like that term too because by saying it's natural, you're throwing it in the bubble with everything else that's normal. You're saying
that's right.
It's not abnormal.
Right. Exactly. And that's one of the easiest scapegoats that you're going to see, I think, on this whole thing. Until someone comes up with some real data. And I'm looking at you, Avi Loeb, because I know that you're our only hope.
Gary Nolan.
I think Avi is going to be the guy. Gary, they're going to be able to, they are already trying to discredit everything that Gary's doing, unfortunately. But Avi's got the data, and he says, get your act together. If you don't do it, I'm going to release it. So as soon as they get something, don't think it's not going to be released. It will be. And then people are going to have to come up to this plate and just say, hey, there are things that we don't understand. There are things that, that exist that shouldn't, but they do. And they shouldn't by our paradigm. We're just going to have to start thinking differently. That's all there is to it. And it's better
there's going to be another guy who's working for Arrow right now who wants to be the next Lou Elizondo. Go public with something.
You got that right. I'm going to go back and catch up on some stuff here. Let's see. We've got what we got. Danny, great point, guys. Yep, there we go. Just because it looks like a duck and acts like a duck doesn't mean it's not a grebe. There you go, Anita.
So I thought of this earlier. Say, for instance, the platypus had never existed before. Mm-hmm. And someone discovers it and shows it to these scientists. Mm-hmm. How would they describe it?
That's a good point.
Would they say it's impossible? Would they say that it's not real? Would they say it's a fake?
I mean,
would they just totally debunk it and not acknowledge its existence? Probably.
I mean, the best thing, the worst thing from yesterday, there was two good things. There's a really bad thing. The worst thing was the one guy, I can't remember his name right now. Hang on. I'll tell you who it is because I want to make sure that we get this right.
Sherpa was his name? Is that the guy you're talking about?
It was one of the pilots that they were talking to.
Oh.
What was it? Scott Kelly. That's who it was.
Uh-huh.
Scott Kelly. He was the pilot. He was talking about how many, he had X amount of flight hours, just a ridiculous amount of flight hours. And he had never seen anything except for a Bart Simpson balloon, which they thought was a UFO until they flew back around and found out it was a balloon. And this is an old story, by the way. But my point is they had to bring this crap up in the middle of this. And oh, by the way, I've had umpteen million flight hours, and I haven't seen anything except for a balloon that we mistook for a UFO. So believe me, because I'm the only one. But let's just discredit everybody else who saw anything, because according to Arrow, it's all easily explained away, except for these orbs. We don't know what they are, but they're all over the world. Well, we told you that. We kind of proved that there's something up there. We inadvertently stumbled upon that before all this even started with our little thermal issue there last year. But the thing being is, if those are there and they're just waiting to be resolved, how are we going to resolve them? We can't explain how they even operate. They're anomalous. They admit they're anomalous, by the way. 100% anomalous. But that's not good enough. They're not extraordinary. I don't know what extraordinary has to be. I don't know what it has to do to consist of being extraordinary. I guess
extraordinary would be something that they don't already know about.
Yeah. Yeah, we know what a sphere is, so obviously it's not extraordinary. I guess they should have used a shape that we just don't know about yet. I mean, that's how stupid we sound, by the way. That is stupid thinking, guys. That's biased thinking. It's ridiculous.
So dropping from 2,000 feet down to sea level.
Oh, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. That was a miscalculation. The gimbal was wrong. It was not a. The gimbal was not tight, I believe.
It was an instrument failure.
Well, he kind of went on to say that it just wasn't. That gimbal was not really faulty, but it wasn't locked down. So therefore, it was just a parallax effect that we saw. It wasn't actual. That was an error. They've studied this thing for how many years now, and they just figured this out. Come on, guys. Do you not think someone looked at that? Do you not think someone pulled this thing apart before? You either believe it or you don't at this point. It really doesn't matter to me, because there's more evidence out there than that. So
it's like the magician trying to hide his secrets so he can sell more tickets.
It's ridiculous is what it is.
Yep.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And Pat, people want to have explanation for everything because the unknown is scary. Absolutely. You're absolutely right.
Oh, yeah.
We have to put names and labels, and we have to put numbers, and that's how it works. Devils, demons, spirits, disembodied voices need to be approached with suspicion. They do. And so do people. People are the same way, Fish Billy.
Yeah.
I agree with you, brother. Absolutely. Danny Camden. But I keep my mind open. I love hearing the points, and especially witness encounters. Yes, the open mind thing is very important, my friend. As long as we keep our mind open, we're not going to be in that camp of, well, just because it's going 20 miles per hour in this frame that we have, in this very short video that we have of this thing, then obviously we can explain it. I mean, why?
What I would ask them would be if they have any other instances of instruments failing and showing abnormal speeds or not really. But they don't offer anything like that.
They don't offer that. That's either top secret classified, or you just don't need to know about that. And why are you asking questions? Because you're silly. Quit that. It's always ET, never the extra dimensional. Yep, you're absolutely right. You're 100% right about that. They try their best not to go there. Always watch the words. Yep, that's how you spin things. I think we all in here understand that. I think we all got a good idea of exactly how this works. Yeah, there you go. Crypto-terrestrials. It's all it's all the same thing, man. It's those names. It's names. People have to have names. Anita, I got to find some Victorian era orb reports. Oh, nice. The current ones mess with you. Yes, the old ones are absolutely, I think it's necessary. I think that, honest to goodness, guys, you want to know where the truth is? The truth is not on Google. The truth is not being found by AI. The truth is not out there floating around in the sky right now, because it doesn't matter, because if I catch it, you're still going to deny it's real. The proof is in those old accounts, those ones that happened before there was ever an internet, the ones that are written in actual books, those things that you open up and read, really old ones. That's where the proof is. Old magazine articles, things that never knew a time when the internet was a thing. That's where our proof is. And that stuff's disappearing very fast, my friends. It's disappearing very fast. It's either, just being thrown away, or, it's been scarfed up, and some of these old UFO books are worth a fortune now. And there's a reason for that.
He had a time right after Roswell when it was okay for about 15 years to talk about your UFO experiences, and that was when the books started exploding. You had
Mm-hmm.
thousands of
Mm-hmm.
books that were written around that time of people's experiences, and they almost never get acknowledged anymore.
No, you only remember just a few books that ever got written about Roswell at this point. I watched a cigar-shaped craft, same length as a jet, flying above it, matched speeds. Then it stopped midair. The plane flew on, and the cigar sank straight down like an elevator. That's not extraordinary, Anita. Come on, that was obviously just a plane, probably with an
That's
elevator on
natural.
it. It's natural phenomena. No, it's really not. I don't know what that was, but that's the kind of mentality these people have. Skyday Matthew McConaughey, after 4 days at a Grateful Dead show, is the answer. Oh my God, you guys are pathetic. We haven't did that yet, have we? All right. Well, it's for my peeps. And we had to do that. I mean, it's got to be done every time. It's just how it is around here.
It
Y'all
never
know
gets
that.
old.
Y'all know that, right?
Hey, do you want to do Ovilus tonight?
Oh man, I don't know. Do you think we should?
Hmm.
I don't know. Let the people decide.
Yeah, let's take a vote.
If the people decide, we'll do the Ovilus. If the
We can
people
ask
don't
it about her
decide,
sightings and see if
we
it has
won't
any
do
answers.
we won't do the Ovilus. So it's whatever you guys want to do. That's how we'll do that. But yeah, so in July I will be at the next paranormal discussion group, and I'll be doing the contact thing there. It's a pretty lengthy and in depth um, lecture, and you're gonna not want to miss it. If you have any ideas about it, if you have any inkling that you may have had an experience in the past that you don't really want to talk about, or you just want to go and be curious, this is the one you go and be curious at. You can ask questions or you can just enjoy it, but we're going to be talking about quite a few things there at that. And let me find the dates for you guys real quick on that. Where's it at? Thought I had the dates. Yeah, here it is. That would be on July 26th is where that's at. And that's the Paranormal Discussion Group. That's at St. Albans Historical Society. We will be starting at 6. And believe me, I will be starting at literally 6 o'clock to get through everything I need to get through. Give yourself, I'd say we're there till about 9. And this is probably going to be one that's going to go right up to about 8:45 if I've got this thing down right. There's going to be lots of information, some of which I have not released prior to this. And of course, these things are free. You guys can just come down and hang out. They say you can donate if you like to the speakers, and we surely appreciate it when you do, but that's not necessary. We also have it's St. Albans in West Virginia, unfortunately, Anita. But we are going to try to do something at this for our friends here. If all goes well, we're going to try to do some of it, not all of it, because it's a very long thing, and there's people who are not going to want to be on camera, and I respect that, and we're not going to let them be on camera. But I'm going to try to at least broadcast a little bit of this, or at least some key parts of this thing. So we'll see how it works. And if we can't do it live, then I'll at least take a couple of recordings and maybe we'll make an episode or something. But
We could just
so
have the
everybody
ones
gets to
who
hear
don't
it.
want to be on camera, like sit out of the camera view or something.
Yes, possibly. Oh,
Or we can just give them a mask.
oh, is it really? Well, that's not too bad. If it's just an hour. Let's see, Pat, what you got? Oh, no, it's not Pat. I'm sorry. That's Adam. So we know Adam's going to be there. And Pat will probably be there for this one. But yeah, it's going to be a really good one. I'm working on some video for it. There's going to be some things that, like I said, haven't been discussed. We'll be showing you guys a little bit of data that you haven't seen yet. Yeah, it's going to be good. I don't want to say too much about it because it's really cool. All right, so are we doing Obelisk or not? I don't know. I didn't get to see. What are you guys voting? Because I can't tell. I don't see anybody saying Obelisk. Oh wait, there's one. There's Obelisk. I got one for Obelisk. So yeah, that's one. That doesn't sound very strong to me. But you guys, if you want to see, I guess I'll be in Withville next. I think is when. Yeah, it's like a week from now or 2 weeks. Yeah, it's next week. Next weekend, actually. I'll be in Withville. And me and Joe will be presenting there as well. So you'll get to catch some of that there if it's in your area as well. Also, this month, right? June, yeah. June, at the end of June, the Paranormal Discussion Group will be doing they're going to try to do something down at, in Nitro, which will be really cool if they pull that off. So we're going to actually, we're going to try to do something there for that one. It'll
They
be
know where yet?
Not they do, but they're not really 100% on it yet. So we're just waiting until they nail it down before we say anything. But yeah, it looks like they're going to try to get something down that way. And Anita said, "I'll see you in Withville." Yay! There you go. Exactly. Well, folks, oh crap! There's more people wanting novels. All right, I'll do a short novel session for you guys because why not?
Give the people what they want.
They'll give the people what they want. I'm only doing it because Adam actually gives us money, so I gotta do it for Adam. Let's see. That's not true. I'm doing it for whoever wants. I just thought that'd be funny to say. All right. Let's do this thing, guys. Where's it at? I wish. Yeah, there it is.
On.
One day I'm going to get that right. Anyway, Obelisk is on. No Kennedy questions. That's the ground rules, guys. No Kennedy questions. And yes, Adam is the sponsor. Adam's been the sponsor now for 2 months, actually.
Yeah. Crops.
Yes, crops.
Prayer.
Man.
Okay, yet crops and prayer, y'all. I don't know what that means, but apparently Obelisk is on. So yeah. All right, you two, get your questions. We're doing this just for you, you know.
Ask it why
Why?
he was seeing her Aunt Mary.
Why? Yes. Why the ruse? Why was she seeing Aunt Mary? I have theories. What do you think, Brandon?
It was something negative, and I think it was feeding off of the negativity that was coming out of her dreams.
It's possible. That's a
Whenever
way
it got
to,
hungry, it would show up again.
that's a way to look at it.
I don't want. Sometimes I want to say demonic, but other times I think it's just some sort of other negative being.
You sure it was negative?
I mean, it was beating her up.
Right.
I don't think something positive would do that.
Just depends, man. Perception. Got to get outside the box and look at all those possibilities. Ask the obelisk what the answer to life and the universe and everything is.
Oh boy.
That's a good one. I like that.
42.
Obelisk, what do I need to survive the AI apocalypse? I'll tell you what you need. You need a portable EMP generator. That's what you need. Fortunately, I've been working. No, I'm kidding. I haven't been working on.
And you need a lead line basement.
Yeah, that
Block
wouldn't
the
hurt.
signal.
It wouldn't hurt. Now it goes quiet. When you guys ask it questions, it just goes quiet. Fantastic. Wow.
Legion.
Okay, there's your
Oh,
answer.
here we go.
Here we go. We're up now. Oh boy, it's a party now. Legion's here. What is my what? What is in my daughter's mirror? Boy, okay, that's a fair one.
That's concerning.
That's a good question. What is in my daughter's mirror? Uh, that's a very good question, actually, Robin.
hide,
hide something that hides? Apparently, what?
drank,
Something that hides and drank something. I guess. What exactly is going on with the mirror, though? That would be the better question. What was Matt dealing with at his airfield? That seems random, but sure. That's a good test. And how do you know it's not just a current version of a Furby? It absolutely is a current version of a Furby. The only difference is that it has like thousands and thousands of possibilities of saying something. There's no way that I believe this thing's real. I want to make that clear. This is for entertainment purposes only. In case someone actually tunes in and says, those guys were playing with a phone app. Yeah, we are. It's fun. That's the only reason. Now, what's really strange is when this thing actually starts getting these string of coincidences. And, I heard someone else actually say this not too long ago. So many coincidences, well, they turn into kind of something more extraordinary, don't they, as they stack up. So at that point, we have to really look at it and say, hey, now that's a little beyond chance. But honestly, that's only happened a few times. And they're usually very vague, so you can read into them. But it's still fun. It doesn't matter.
100,
Right. 100. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds.
Yeah, a phone app. I don't think phone app could possibly be that accurate, but if you get like a physical device, then that's where you start playing a different ball game.
Yeah, we got a
Like
few.
bring
of
out
them
the
around
puck.
here. We got
Or
a
a REM
few.
pod.
We got a few of them things around here too. Well, they were doing that last night as well, and the REM pod was actually registering a heat signature when they were asking some of these questions. So that was kind of interesting.
I'd love to eventually get us a puck. Those things are interesting to me.
They're okay.
dictionary,
They're okay. Yeah, see? It even knows it's a dictionary.
I wonder if Dewey makes those.
A puck?
Hey, he's not here tonight, is he?
Dewey's not here tonight. I don't know where he's at. He missed a good one.
Oh, yeah. He'd love this one.
We'll make sure he gets a link to it, though. We bought my daughter a new bedroom suite in 2016. She swore there was something in the mirror. Huh.
Did you happen to buy that from somewhere in St. Albans?
How about that? Where should I go? Ike wants to know where he should go. Ike, you should go to the happiest place on earth. And, of course, that's Margaritaville, for those who don't know. Actually, I think you were there not too long ago. But always go back to Margaritaville because
object,
it always calls you. Object. There's an object in the mirror, I guess.
Well,
And Pat wants to know why the Dooster's not here, Ovilus. Yeah. Why is he not here, Ovilus? Why? Why would you
does
do
lawnmower
this?
catch on fire again?
Why would you do this to us?
Did you
It's
see
your
that
fault.
story
What's that?
about his lawnmower starting a fire in his front yard?
cannot,
Yes. It says cannot. So apparently he could not be here, according to Ovilus. And I'll take that as an answer. And Robin said, she put up dream catchers over her mirror. I was in her room and actually saw a dark shadow in the shape of a human go across it on the inside. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I will give you an old, basically, I wouldn't say a cure, but an old remedy for some of that to make the dream catcher work a little better. Grab yourself a little quartz crystal. The more faces it has, the better. And attach it to the dream catcher somewhere near, in the web itself. And the theory basically is that
shoes,
it's not shoes. The theory basically is that, an evil spirit, is vain. It's very it's all about itself.
fear,
Yeah, yeah, they cause fear, and
measure,
really, I'm
Hey,
talking
Robin.
right now.
If you really want to know if something is in that mirror, if you have an old Polaroid camera, take a bunch of random pictures of it and see if you get anything in it. Supposedly, Polaroid cameras are better at picking those up than digital cameras are.
That's one of the thoughts. So these guys, apparently, these spirits, whatever they are, they become enamored with themselves, and they like to see all the reflections of themselves. And if they hang out there staring at themselves in the crystal's facets all night when the sun comes up, bye bye, spirit. So that's one of the beliefs, that basically a crystal acts as a trap, holds them.
Yep.
And then in sunlight they can't exist. So I'm not sure what happens to them in sunlight. I don't know if they just disappear or what happens.
Back to
but,
wherever they came from.
yeah, maybe. But yeah, that's one of the theories. The mirror is now covered with a permanent blanket.
Don't blame me.
Wait, what? We bought it at Big Sandy's in Tays Valley. How long ago? I wonder if somebody traded a mirror in.
Could have.
Right? Why is it doing that? Big Sandy's is probably building braille mounds. Yeah, it probably is.
I think that whole area was all mountainside until they bulldozed it to make room for that shopping center.
Yeah, Anita said it's hard to get the film for the Polaroids. Those new ones you can, but my gosh, that stuff's expensive. And the little prints they're only like this big. They're tiny because that's what they have. They've used a few times with one of the photo shoots we do. The old ones are impossible, but the new ones you can actually find stuff for. Oh, you have a Polaroid. See, there you go. You got half the equation right there.
Yeah, just try it and see what happens.
Can't hurt. Well, folks, I think that's it. I think it's 2:02, right? We've been recording for 2:02, 2 hours and 2 minutes. I think I'm going to call it tonight because I'm half falling asleep. I'll be honest with you. I've been extremely busy for the past week writing this well, not one, but 4 presentations, and one I have to have done by next weekend. I will get it done, but I have to get it done way before that because I have to get it over to Joe and let him do his part. So I literally have to finish this thing tomorrow, which means I'll be at it again all day tomorrow. And tomorrow, don't forget, a regular episode airs at, I think it's 5 or 6. I can't remember what time it is tomorrow. I'll post up a link to it in the morning on the group page, and you want to see that. We had a guest on there from Spooky South, and she was really cool. She talked about a lot of the crazy things that goes on down that way. Even talked about the old hoop snake for a little bit, which was really cool.
Oh,
and probably the only other person I've met who's seen ball lightning, and that was pretty cool. She was very cool. All right. So anyway, guys, I think that's it. I'm going to call it tonight. So if let's wait. We got to turn off the Ovilus. We don't want to open these things up and never close them. That's how bad things
Goodbye,
happen.
Ovilus.
That's how them people mess up them Ouija boards and stuff, man. They don't close them.
Ovilus on.
Got it synced that time pretty good. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. We're going to be back next Thursday. And I don't know if we have a guest or not, but we'll be back next Thursday.
I won't be here, unfortunately, because I'm on vacation.
Will you? Well, that's nice. Wait, Joe just popped up. Joe said he'll be here next Thursday. So I guess Joe will be here next Thursday. So there you go, guys. So we'll see you out there. And don't forget, you also see us out there for real on the road. So be looking for us. And I guess until then, do the thing, go like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And make sure that, you stay wild and weird. That's important.